This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 446, recorded on May 21st, 2020. Here at Home Gadget, let me try it again. One of those days. I don't really care. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios. And Mike, for as long as we wanted spring, it will not end here in Nebraska. Like we can't, summer kind of tries to, tries to get started, and we see sun, and then it's clouds and cool again. Great for the grass. We were talking about that in the pre-show. I'm sure your grass is doing well. Mine is awesome, thanks, Dave McCabe. How's your grass doing?
Mine is a jungle because we went down to the farm last weekend, so I didn't get a mow in, and we are paying the price now. It's where you start to get the seeds on top of the grass. It's getting that long.
Oh yeah.
It's probably
that's not bad.
The hard part about it is, like we talked about, 2 passes is what I should do. Yeah. What I'll have time to do though is I'll probably be cutting off more than I should on 1 pass.
I had to put my bag on because I'm trying to mulch. And it just got so thick, and I could hear that blade just crushing, just churning in there, right? Just too much grass. And so I was like, all right. So I put a bag on it. We finished it. But if you haven't gone back, by the way, been a very popular show. If you haven't gone back and watched the episode with Dave McCabe, and we did on lawn care, pretty great. And then coming up here at the end of June, we'll have the part 2 on that series when we talk about summer stuff you need to do to get ready for your lawn for the summer. So we'll have him back as well. Of course, we post the show with world-class show notes and a few here. Mostly the transcripts will be available out at theaverageguy.tv. Don't forget, you can download the mobile app. I'll have it for a while. I've been considering not doing that. It just hasn't seen a ton of use. Most of you have found other ways to get it done. But homegadgetgeeks.com, that app is streaming, and you can just go from anywhere. Best way to listen, since it goes through Spreaker, you get the live show. So it's a great way to do it as well, that way as well. Homegadgetgeeks.com if you want to do it. We want to thank our Patreon subscribers. By the way, Patreon subscribers, if you we still are, and Ron just made me a bunch more. Oops, it's upside down. It's still upside down. There we go. Ron just made me a bunch.
Got mine too right here.
It's making, there you go, a bunch of new coins. And there's a couple of you that jumped in on the $5 plan, and because of COVID, I just couldn't get it out to you. I just ordered the envelopes, and I'm getting ready to ship this week, end of the month. If you get in before the end of May with that $5 pledge, I'll send you out a coin. So if you want to do that, Ron, I appreciate you getting those for me. I got a few on hand that we'll send out, and he's shipping me some more. But theaverageguy.tv/Patreon if you want to jump on the bandwagon and join us here, financial support of the things that we do. Then don't forget, you can follow us on Eventbrite now, theaverageguy.eventbrite.com. And I post almost every week. I post a couple weeks worth of shows that are coming up, just so you know what's kind of going on. Tonight we're going to talk about a gaming build. But if you want to join us out there, theaverageguy.eventbrite.com. And then while you're out on the site, join the newsletter, theaverageguy.tv/subscribe. I won't spam you, mostly weekly, just kind of an update on links and what's kind of going on in the community. And so if you want to do that, we appreciate it. Big thanks to Rich Hay last week, who jumped in, a lot of Microsoft talk. And it's always good to catch up with Rich. So Rich, thanks for coming in. Appreciate your willingness to do that. Rich, I don't know if he listens, but if he does, thanks, Rich. Appreciate it. Mike, June 18th, which is, 3 weeks away, maybe 4, something like that. June 18th, we're going to do our first ever. Is that, you're looking at me funny? Is that a Thursday?
No, sorry, I don't mean to be looking at you funny.
I was like, did I say something wrong? Okay, good. Nope. June, because it's that kind of day.
I was laughing at chat. They were giving you
what did they say? Oh,
they said you're talking about. No, you're talking about shipping these in, and Tajowski says, with postage due, LOL.
I learned my lesson on that one. I make sure I'll get to the post office. The plan is just, I'm going to take a box and just, how much?
Right.
And then just let them figure it out. So that was funny. That was my mistake. June 18th. So June 18th, 2020, all listener feedback show. So we've never done this before. I don't know if it's going to work. Mike and I, all listener feedback. What does that mean is you need to send us some feedback. I don't read a ton, and I get quite a bit of feedback, but I thought it'd just be fun. It's summer. Send us your funny stories, send us your tech stories, send us some feedback, those kinds of things. We'll read them on the show and comment on them. So the whole show. that way. June 18th. Send it to me, jim@theaverageguy.tv.
That'd be great. Even anything easy. Like your setup of how you listen to us or watch us, how you
anything.
do that, anything.
Anything. And if you want to send an audio comment, you can do that as well. You can just put it on your, record it and send it to me. Whatever you want to do, all listener feedback.
One of my favorite podcasts that I listen to, actually, they are entirely a user feedback show. It's Mac Geek Gab, and so it started when I was, obsessed with Apple, but I continue to listen because everything is they do quick tips, and it's people send in quick tips, and then they ask questions, and they'll provide their answer, like their expert answer to the questions. But I kind of like that style, so I'm excited for this because I really enjoy because it brings up such diverse topics, and people always have really cool ideas that you and I maybe don't think about or talk about. So that'll be a fun show. So make sure you guys send that in so we can share the love of all the stuff you guys share with us.
If you're a subscriber to the newsletter, you'll get that reminder this week and next, and then you can just reply to that and send it back to me. That'd be a great way to do it. If you haven't subscribed, you can get that done, theaverageguy.tv/subscribe. But yeah, Mike, I'm kind of looking forward to it. So
yeah, that'll be good.
It'll be fun. Okay. So we're going to talk about Tim's build. We're going to hold it. It's right behind me here over the shoulder. I don't have all the gear yet, and I don't know if he's ordered all of it, but we got parts of it so we can scrutinize it. We'll be looking for your comments in the chat. So if you want to do that as well, we'll talk about it. Mike and I have kind of take a look at it. But this week, just kind of an update on my Nvidia Shield usage of the Plex. Last week, I thought you had me talked into like moving Plex server over to my Core i3 because that's where I got the video cards in it. And all week, so I worked on it kind of all week, little bits at a time, all weekend for sure. And was going to shift some stuff around, and I figured how do I got to move stuff off that? Because you got to it's got to be seamless for Sarah. It can't be like, oh, it's going to be down for 3 days, or oops, I lost everything. I've done that before.
Yeah. Or even not even losing the video files. The one time I've caused a lot of annoyance to my family has been when everything's still there for them to watch, but it lost all the data as in what they've watched, what they haven't watched. Right. So like if they've been in the middle of a series of a TV show, it all of a sudden just reset to you haven't watched anything, even that little stuff. And that's all that Plex metadata that you need to make sure you keep. That stuff's hard to if you lose it, you've lost it and there's no getting it back.
And every time I would go to think about how am I going to move all this stuff, I'd panic. I don't know if I really want to do this, right? And I moved some drives around. I tested some things. I tried some stuff on the Shield to expose it to the network so I could pull those files across. So in the end, I was like, I'm not moving it. And it was super funny because I felt really good as soon as I made that decision. And I've been thinking about this for a couple weeks, and I was like, not moving it. And like this wave of calmness just came over me. I was like, okay, that was the right decision. But that Nvidia Shield storage has always been in a dock, in a hard drive bay dock that's connected via USB 3. Super janky. Like if the wind blows the wrong direction in the house or the heater comes on, that thing falls over and then the disc falls out. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those
definitely.
So it's like, okay, I got to do something different. Well, I'd had that Seagate 8 terabyte drive go bad a couple weeks ago, the one I shipped back to Western Digital and got that $5 credit for. And which is super slick, by the way. If you haven't done that yet, if you have drives you need to get rid of, just put them in boxes, tell Western Digital, go to their recycle page. They'll give you a shipping label and it leaves your house. It's pretty great, right? You have to drop it off at UPS or call for them, but it's pretty great. So I had an empty Seagate enclosure. So took the SSD drive, which is what I've been using for the storage for the Plex. Took that out and went to put it in the Western Digital. Well, okay, it's too small. Oh, okay, no biggie. I've got one of those adapters. No, I need a full size adapter to make it work. So I went because that adapter's too short and it's expecting a full size drive, right? It's expecting the full length, and the adapter is only the length of the SSD. So you're like, okay, this isn't going to work. And I could kind of rig it in there, but I kind of thought, I bet ICDoc has a solution for this, right? So one of my favorite things that ICDoc makes, let me find I'll share this. Let me get this screen. Just one of my very favorite ICDoc products of all time is this little 2.5 to 3.5 inch. It's just basically converts a 2.5 inch drive to 3.5. Right? Super simple, super efficient, works every time. The lid slides back and pops up. You put the drive, the 2.5-inch drive in there, close it. It pinches it in, seats it really well. Now you have a drive. I didn't realize this, but they're doing refurbs right now for $8, which is a pretty great $850. Let's just say.
That's a good price.
Yeah, pretty great price for converting those 2.5-inch drives to 3.5. So in my case, it made it super convenient. There's a million different ways to get this done, but
that looks a lot more robust than, let's say, like this is what I've used, right?
Hold on, let me focus back to you here.
So this same thing, right? 3.5-inch drive, and then this can actually hold 2 SSDs, so they can be stacked here and here. But it's not. I mean, I think this costs more than $8, and this is. I mean, this thing's pretty flimsy. It doesn't enclose it like that one does. But same sort of style.
Yeah, and it's got this drive here. It's got it's hard plastic. I don't know. It just is a great adapter, and it has been one of those. For me, it's been one that they've had forever. I've been using these for maybe 10 years, and they were always like $20. And I just went online. I needed it. So what I was gonna do was take that 1 terabyte drive and throw it in. I have that IC dock kind of quick sync enclosure. You can turn the power off on it, open the doors, put it in, seat it, then turn the power back on. It's kind of like it's a poor man's hot swap. And so I was going to take the 1 terabyte drive out, put it in the media center box that I have to get those files off of it. That's originally why I bought it. Well, so I just thought, okay, I'm just gonna use that. I'm going to put it in that Seagate enclosure. I'm going to plug it in, and now it's kind of protected. It doesn't look so jankety in there, and it protects that drive. And then I just thought, this thing is working. And how often do you really get your media center and the wife acceptance factor that it just freaking works? So it's like, I'm putting it in, it's got plenty of storage. Part of the problem was we only use about 200 gig of recorded files at any given time. I got a terabyte SSD in there. I kind of felt like it was a waste,
Okay.
I don't care. They're cheap. After we talk about the parts that
I was going to say that,
they're super cheap.
Especially the SATA style now that NVMe is becoming so popular, it's forced even the price on the SATA drives, the 2.5-inch SATA drives down, I've noticed. So I mean, a terabyte there. And, you never know. The great part is now you don't have to worry about it, right? Yeah. That thing starts to fill up and you're good for a while.
Andrew's asking, how do you spell jankety? I think that's pretty close, Andrew. That's another, we were talking about those family words, right? That you have in your family. And that's one of the ones that I use.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I ordered that drive. I ordered that enclosure. And, we've been talking about how things are, because COVID related, like they're only shipping priority kind of stuff, and things are taking maybe 2 weeks instead of the couple days before because there was priority. I guess those days are over because this came the next day.
Like, that fast, huh?
Yeah. Ordered it Saturday.
Amazon?
Yep. Ordered it Saturday. Either ordered it Saturday, it was here Sunday, or ordered it Sunday, it was here Monday.
Wow.
Like, boom, just box in my mailbox outside. And which I bought one of those plastic. Paul Braren was talking about those package boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So I ordered one of those and I put it up on I have it up on its own wood stand, so it's not so low, because my FedEx guy was complaining. He's like, it hurts my back. I was like, what's your job? But anyways, I didn't say that. And then we put hinges on the back of that thing and a handle up front. So now you just lift it up. You can one hand, because before you'd have to take the lid off. You don't have a lid. He'd have to take the lid off and then find a place to set it down and then put the box down. I just hinged it. Works great. So it's been a couple upgrades there.
So I'm curious, since you were going to an SSD, did you ever think about just not doing an enclosure at all and just getting the short little USB 3 because you don't need power, right? You don't need the full dock.
Correct.
Of an SSD.
Correct.
So like most of the time when I'm running off an SSD, I have a short little cable USB to that, because those things you can bang on, like they're not going to break, right? They're not fragile. So I'm really not too worried about it. Did you ever think about that, or just you already had the dock and kind of went that way?
No, I didn't, just to be honest with you. Yeah. No, I had the dock, so I went that way to begin with. And then when it worked, I was like, well, and the dock could have just worked. Like I could have just left it in the dock, but I was kind of like, that kind of looks like crap, even though it's hidden. It bothered me. So now it's in this slick case and it just works, kind of just works. It works pretty great. I'm happy. Like I feel like it's locked down now. Like I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to let it be. That's going to be our solution until it breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm perfectly content with it. Yeah, Tony says, I clicked on the wrong thing. So you don't get, you have one of these box, I have this box for boxes on my porch just for that. Here's the one hang up. Somehow, so it rained really hard the other day and that thing filled up with water. And I still cannot figure out where the water came in at. Like, should be covered. I don't think water goes up things. It has a lip that goes in. To this day, I cannot figure out how that thing, it had a good half inch of water.
Wasn't coming into the bottom or anything?
I know, because it's up on I built a platform. I have
So
2x6s or 2x8s, one of those two. I think they're 2x8s.
Yeah.
And it sits on top. I built a 2x8 box that it just sits on top of, so that again it's kind of raised up a little bit for my FedEx guy.
I guess you could drill a hole and put some really tiny mesh to keep bugs and stuff out.
Well,
that way
I just drill holes. I'm not worried about the bugs. Yeah. It's got a vent in it anyways, that just in case, because that thing will get hot in the sun and it needs a way to kind of vent the heat. So it's got a non-screen vent. So I just, because it's up off the ground, and in the low spots where there was water, and it drained right out. And I thought, okay, good to go. I'm not worried about bugs. Boxes aren't going to sit in there very long. So
I saw Tony's tweet about him with his package with the Ubiquiti AP on his front stoop, and it's soaked in water. And I've had that happen a few times too. I've actually thought about going Jim's route, about putting something out there that they could put it in.
Yeah. Tony says condensation. That's what my wife said. No. Well, I don't know.
Seemed like a lot of condensation.
Yeah. Maybe in Panama or Central America. I just couldn't. It was weird. And it's okay. Like, it's one of those things. I now have holes strategically so it drains out. It was very satisfying when I drilled those holes, and then all the water kind of went right to it and it drained out. No regrets. Now that I got the hinges on there and I got a handle, I watched him through the package cam the other day, came up and delivered a package, and he looked at it at first and then grabbed the handle, and then you could see, and slid the box down. When he brings HelloFresh, that's the hard part, right? When HelloFresh is a big box and it just fits inside that box. And so I see him, he's done everything but flip me off in the camera. He's got to drip out of the box. He didn't like to put it on my doorstep, much less put it in a box, 4 boxes. So he's not real happy. We ordered extra food this week, and so they packed it in their biggest box possible. And it's tight, but it fits. So that's all that really matters. I can't go back. I love having that package box. Pop out the door, just take a peek, if something in there, or we get the notification off the Ring doorbell, because the Ring doorbell is literally right in front of it. So that's pretty great. Then I got the package cam that looks down at it. So pretty great. So that was one of the things. Did you have any tech projects this week that you work on? Anything you tuned up?
No, not really too much. I have switched, I think we already talked about this, but I actually switched out the Xbox in the living room for another Nvidia Shield. You guys have got me hooked on that. So I ordered another one. So we now have the Pro that's in the master bedroom. And then I actually got the tube form factor one for the living room. They play everything as far as Plex goes. I don't use it as a Plex server like you do, Jim. But as far as even just a client, loads everything fast, can direct play every single file type. Live TV works. The Plex app on Xbox is horrendous. It's awful. It stutters all the time. It doesn't matter what power server you have. The client app on the Xbox is terrible. So switching over to that has been really good. And my wife loves the new remote. Big approval factor there from her. And the thing that we started using too was our kids like to walk off with the remotes. You just install the Nvidia Shield app, find the remote, and that remote makes a high-pitched sound. So you can find those remotes when they're lost. So even if you have an old Shield, I would say it's worth, I think it was $30, maybe $40 for that remote. I think it's worth it. I really enjoy it. And it actually has physical volume buttons instead of just like that slide thing on the old one that kind of is hard to use. So I think those upgrades have been pretty good.
Have been good. Yeah. 120, I think, for that the lower end, and then 199, I think, for the Pro version. They've had trouble with them keeping them in stock. And
they have. I had to wait for a little bit.
I have a Slick Deals alert that tells me, and I've been getting way more alerts. By the way, Slick Deals, don't set yourself up an alert for DeWalt. I get 3 DeWalt alerts a day on things that are on sale.
Uh-huh.
So if you're
So
a
Jim,
DeWalt,
the one thing I was curious though, since you run Plex Media Server on the Shield, is there hardware? I would assume there's hardware acceleration.
Yeah.
On and okay, so you have that checked, and that is an option on the. That's
works
nice.
great. Works
Okay.
great. Works like
Yeah.
a charm. Yeah, it works like a charm. It very little buffering. I've been kind of having her monitor the. I wanted to see if that enclosure would add any latency to it, just because it's got to go through a board, right? That enclosure's got a board in it, and so we've been kind of monitoring it. She's been saying no, although she showed me an area where it slowed down significantly. So, yeah, Tony says, or an alert for a hard drive. Don't be careful what you set your select deal alerts for sure. So yeah, it's been great. I just, again, it was kind of, I'm glad I went through the exercise. It was a couple days of brain like, okay, I'm going to move stuff around. Maybe I should move these drives out of that into this. How do I migrate that data? What's this going to look like? Maybe I need to convert the Unraid box back into the media center, because it was a media center for a lot of years. Maybe that needs to become the media. No, then I have to put a new power supply in it. Well, I got one of those, but I could,
Yeah.
Then you're like, or I could just leave it and it would work. It
totally depends on the size of your library too, and what you need, and if the Shield's powerful enough, and how many remote clients you have running. And I think for your use case, the Shield is perfect. I think for most people, I guess the hard part about talking about Plex is you try and make recommendations, and you think everyone is an average user. People using Plex are already above average users, right?
Mm-hmm.
The average guy is not running a Plex server. It's more the advanced technical people who are running Plex servers, and so sometimes they do. Maybe the norm for them is to have more power. Depends on how many users they have. But if it was just me in this house, I would be using probably the Nvidia Shield as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
low
have
power
Xbox.
Consumption. I mean, extremely low power consumption. You already have it running all the time. Why not have it up there?
Totally. No, it's Android. It's pretty great. I have an Xbox. I moved my Xbox out there, so we have a DVD player or Blu-ray, and I could use Plex, but Plex is terrible on the Xbox. It's terrible.
It is.
So yeah, it's just terrible.
But John doesn't seem to be having any issues. He says his Plex app doesn't stutter, but it doesn't have the grid guide.
Yeah,
and that's true. The UI is clunky.
An old one or something.
And we don't really use ours for live TV too much. But it's just, even playing movies for us, for some reason, it doesn't work very well. But man, I've been playing a ton of Xbox. Like, I think like my gaming patterns go around when I have high stress. So like I stress, and then I'm like, I love to just, boys have gone to bed, hop on with and it's a good way. I feel connected again, because I don't play alone. I'm just not a guy. I can't sit and play a video game by myself. So I don't play unless I have a buddy jumping on with me. But man, we've been playing a lot of that new Call of Duty Warzone. To my wife's dismay, I think she misses me a little bit, but it's been good.
Now, Michael, she would say.
Yeah, no, she'll say, "Just, you don't want to spend time with me?"
No.
And then there's no right answer to that, fellas. If she says you don't want to spend time with me, it's
of course I do.
I do, and then run.
No, right on. Let's dig into Tim's build. So my son Tim, he is overseas right now. We'll be back here in the United States some point. He's had items shipped home. He's going to do a build when he comes home for leave, when he gets back, whenever that is. I don't even know. So I thought it was a great idea just to hijack the parts. We're not unboxing tonight. That's not what this is. But this is a great opportunity for us to just kind of talk through the parts. So I'm going to walk through his parts. It's not a complete build, but it is the parts associated with it. What I'd love to do is take some of your feedback in the chat room. So as we talk about each of the components, drop your comments in the chat room. We'll bring in. This will be chat heavy as we're talking about this. So whatever thoughts you have on it, we'll bring in. The first, we'll start with the, he's got a 9th gen Core i7 9700K. And I think we can show that here. That's the actual box for that. I don't know why it's doing. It keeps changing the picture on me, and I'm not exactly sure why. Okay, there we go. Retail about $370, I think, at this point. Pretty. It's unlocked. I think they all are. At this point, I mean, I could be wrong. I actually, Mike,
it's a K model that would be unlocked.
Okay, this is an area like it's been a while since I think I said this on the show a while back. I haven't priced computer parts in a while. So you're kind of like, I don't know, video cards I knew for a while, but this I don't. I think from a gaming perspective, pretty standard, kind of what I'd expect. When you looked at changing parts, did you consider what you consider and what you get?
I did. I was going the AMD route though. For the price to performance for me, and since I was starting fresh, I was able to just start with a new motherboard and everything. So for me, price performance was still there on the AMD side. I went with the 3600. It's a 6-core processor, but that one is 8 cores. You get 2 more cores. I think it's at up to 4.9 gigahertz. You're probably looking at, I don't know what it is, base clock. That's obviously turboed. But still, yeah, that's a great chip for gaming.
Yeah, and actually, I think it's this one. I think it's just the straight. Nope.
And I don't know. I wonder, Jim. I would be interested to see, since the 10th gen just came out for Intel. I wonder what the price has done since he ordered compared to now. So I'd be curious to see what he paid for this a while back. Now that the 10th gens are out,
and he just bought it like a week or 2 ago. These just
so maybe he benefited. Maybe I don't know if the price has dropped yet. I'm sure some people in chat are more savvy on watching the prices, but I would suspect that they jumped down as soon as those 10th gens came out.
Okay. Yeah, and I think he's going to like it. I mean, it's a pretty industry standard, I think, from what I've seen.
That is the K.
Been very
so that is the unlocked version.
Yes,
I missed that.
Okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah, 9700K is what's on there.
And does he like to get into overclocking? Is he kind of one of those guys who likes to tweak and
he not a lot, but he will.
Okay,
he will. So Andrew says he's saving up for the quad core Celeron. All right.
Nice.
He's gonna pair it. So from a memory perspective, he has gotten a Viper Gaming Patriot, 16 gig.
What's the speed on that?
DDR4. I looked it up in the show notes.
It looks like 4,000 megahertz.
Yeah. DDR4. Yep, 4,000 megahertz.
Okay.
Pretty cool looking. But again, I don't know what he paid for these, but 2 times 8 gig on that. So some cool looking memory.
I think 16 gig for right now is kind of that sweet spot of 32 is always nice, right? But I think even if you're just gaming, it depends on if you're going to do any video editing and things like that. But I think for gaming, playing one game at a time, I think 16 gig is fine. That's what I have in this build, and I've never, even running Call of Duty, things that are a little bit heavier on that side. I'm sure there are some games that could use more RAM. I don't know if he streams at the same time. And even when I have on my build right here, I have streamed, gamed Call of Duty, everything. And I get up to about 12 gig, 13 gig maybe of RAM utilization. So not to say that more couldn't be beneficial, but I think it's a good spot to be at. Plus, I think when we talk about the motherboard, I think it has 4 DIMMs on it. So the good part is he's done 2. He can always fill in the other 2 DIMMs later if he realizes 16 isn't enough. So I like that. I think that's smart. I always do the same. I always when I look at motherboards, I pretty much always only look at the 4 DIMM boards, and then I buy my current RAM usage, but I try and get it done in 2 sticks so that I can upgrade that in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a Core i7 box that I use for crypto stuff. And I kind of wish it's got 16, and I kind of wish it had 32. And I run some VMs off of it. Does I use almost
that's
all
true.
16.
Oh yeah, if you're running a lot of VMs are where you do need a lot of RAM because you're dedicating usually that amount of RAM, and then all of a sudden that's chunked off.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, in Unraid, really beneficial to have a lot, especially if you're running VMs and Dockers and things like that, where it's gonna be a lot of RAM heavy. But for a gaming rig, depends on what he wants to do. Totally depends.
I just think I guess it depends on price, but I think you go as much as you can, and I think Windows has gotten so heavy in some cases of taking up 8, 10, 12 gig, depending upon the browsers, because we've gotten so browser intensive. Right. I can easily run up to 10 gig in with browser windows
really
open. Oh yeah, it's crazy how much RAM I use at times. I keep now a task manager open on most of the computers I run, and I'm at 12. I'm at 11.3 on this rig right here.
Just what are you running?
Doing this, and I mean, I've got a bunch of Chrome open, and and of course I'm running stable bit drive pool, and it's running the camera, and it's my editing app. I do all that. I edit off this thing. Not that they're open now, but it takes a lot more than you think these days.
Yeah, I'm running it because I use Rain Meter. Still one of the best suggestions this community has given me. Love it. So, and I'm only using 4.8 right now. Gig of my 16. I've got Chrome, Discord, and then like some of the game launchers, Spotify, some of that stuff open, but nothing else. Which is pretty standard for what I do. I usually see it run right around 5.
This PC's been running a while. You know, I've had things installed and uninstalled. It's had crypto on it, you know. So so 16 is great. I think it's the minimum, just to be honest. If I was going to build a rig that I was going to do any kind of VM virtual, anything on it, I'm going to go 32 from here on out.
I'd agree.
It's kind of a choice. Ron was asking a couple comments to come back to. Andrew says Chrome will gobble up RAM for sure. And then Ron was asking any RGB on this. I don't believe there is on the memory, so no. And nothing he bought has a lot of lights on it. Ron also shocked that he didn't go with the AMD Ryzen. Yeah, me too. But that's what he picked. That's why we're talking about it. So that's pretty cool. All right. See if there's any comments in there. Kind of chatting. Justin says I'm a heavy chromer. I do like my Chrome, and I run a lot of it. So for memory or for hard drive, we just talked about this a couple weeks ago. So he has a WD Blue M.2 2280, 2 terabytes. I think I might be covering that part up. 2 terabytes down there. Mike, pretty standard. You know, I mean,
how much is that
2
drive?
terabytes?
Did we look it up?
I didn't look it up.
I'd be curious because I went with the Samsung 970 Evo M.2 and I went with 500 gigs. I still think that was about $100. So I'm guessing he's paid around 250, 300 maybe.
This
the 2 terabyte,
229.
229. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Yep, 229 right now. So
okay.
So there you go.
This
may get lost. Oops.
Do you have boards?
He doesn't watch this show.
That have M.2 slots?
No.
Okay.
All my equipment's too old.
Is that SATA or NVMe?
SATA.
Okay, that's why the price is lower.
Yeah.
So that's essentially the same speed as a 2.5 inch SSD. So M.2, you can either have M.2 SATA or M.2 NVMe. M.2 is kind of like the interface. You do SATA or NVMe. So that makes a little more sense why it's a little bit cheaper. Because that'll be about 600 megabits per second. And then when you get to the NVMe, that's when you jump up to the thousands.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, and I think again, we'd have to ask him. Maybe when after the build, I should have him on the show.
Or you should suggest him. Okay, this isn't open yet. What if no? This is just because the way I thought about it.
Chat room, what do you think? Hold on, I know where Mike's going with this.
Yeah.
Chat room, switch or not? Keep going.
So what I did on mine was I said, okay, for the same price, because those start to get pretty pricey. I wanted the speed of NVMe. So $100 for 500 gigs, that's more than enough for a boot drive and even probably 1 or 2 games of the big games. And then I just threw in a super cheap 2 terabyte spinner as a storage for all my games because games don't need fast storage. And so that would turn out to be the same price. And the speed on the NVMe is just insane.
Yeah.
What did I post the other day? Like 2200. I mean, so you're tripling the speed of that drive when you jump up.
Yeah, I think I would go. I'd still go a 500 gig NVMe for the OS, right?
That's what I did. Yeah,
let that be its thing, and then then I'd put a bunch of spinners in there and rate them together. Yeah, to get the speed off of them that way. Or
actually, what I do
to be
too
honest with you, this is cheap. This is cheap. This is still for storage for that kind of access to it.
Yeah, I have the NVMe. I have a 2.5 inch. SSD. It's just I was like I had it extra laying around. It's 500 gigs. I'm like I'll throw it in there. Maybe that could be like a scratch disk for editing video or something that's still a little bit faster than a spinner. And then I have my 2 terabyte spinner in there for all my games too.
Yeah, depending on how you're using it, what gets stored on it. It works great on my 1 terabyte SSD. I've got that. Had it for a year or two. It was cheap when I bought $100. and makes great storage. So
Yeah.
kind of way to do it. Okay. Motherboard. All right. So he's got an Asus Prime Z390A for the board. I am not going to open this, although I really want to.
It's a pretty board.
It is a pretty board. If you can see the back there. I mean, it's just a well done board. I think so. Ryan, I think Ryan's out there. Yeah. Ryan, I think didn't Bob just review the Z490 on that? And I'm no motherboard geek. So I don't know. Those guys, Think Computers. If you really want to get into the parts, you should be watching Think Computers.
I think the 490 is that when they introduced PCI 4.0? Because does that have 4.0 or 3.0?
Let's look.
There is really no need right now for any consumer to need 4.0 on PCI. I made the mistake. I overpaid probably for this X570 motherboard. I could have gone X470 and been totally fine and paid less because I am never really the only benefit for me between 470 and 570 on the AMD side was PCI 4.0. Oh, okay. I stand corrected though. Ryan says 4.0 is actually not on Intel yet.
No.
So Intel doesn't support PCI 4.0.
Yeah, pretty nice boards. You can look up the specs for it if you're a board geek. Lots of cool stuff in there and PCI
boards are getting fun.
3.0,
since when is a motherboard fun? But they are kind of fun. And
no,
I like to say, I've been really impressed with the Asus products. Obviously that's the brand of GPU I got. I was looking at some of their motherboards. I ended up going ASRock just because of availability. Those things were out of stock everywhere I was looking. But Asus has been making some really good products, both good looking and from the reviews seem to be reliable. People have been having good luck with them.
Ryan, what's the significance of the Prime line? He said that I asked him if Bob had reviewed I thought he'd reviewed the 490. He said not the Prime line. I don't think yet. I'd seen a video with 490 or something out there from Bob on that.
So it looks like you need a Z490 for the 10th gen Intel boards, is what Ryan's saying.
Okay.
If I'm reading his message right.
Okay.
Which would make sense.
All right. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's God, you know how bad I want to.
Because Intel did change their socket on the 10th gen chips.
There's no sticker here.
He wouldn't know if you opened it up.
He would know. I'm recording it.
Yeah. Ryan, that's right. You guys in the chat, that's correct, right? The 10th gen chips do have a new socket. I'm like 99.9% sure. But I could be wrong still.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know.
Made
a good choice.
Like on the motherboard, I'm curious if we looked up price because I was noticing a lot of the price differences too were little things like USB Type-C. Sometimes, like we've talked about previously, a 2.5 gigabit NIC instead of just a standard gigabit. Mine is a pretty baseline board for especially for the X570. Mine does have USB Type-C, but it's still a gigabit NIC, things like that.
Let's see. Let me share my screen. I'm assuming this is the board. Asus ROG now 90E gaming board. Hold on. Let me pull this thing out. Man, it's got words on here. I don't even know what they are anymore. There's so I need to spend a little bit of time getting back into this.
We run a tech show. You don't admit that.
No, I know. I did. I just did.
I think it's that one up top.
Yeah, there we go. I think it's this one. So yeah, 279. So
okay.
Yeah.
That's on the higher end. That's a high end board.
It's just a sexy board.
From what I think of as for motherboards.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. That's actually pretty expensive when it comes to boards.
Looks like 5 PCI slots. Looks like a heatsink covered. If that M.2 slot, well, it looks like there's 2 M.2s maybe. I don't know if that bottom piece of metal, usually that's a heatsink covered M.2.
Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like there's another M.2 up top.
Look.
So it looks like there's 2 M.2s if I'm totally guessing here. I've never seen this board.
Let's look here. M.2, yeah, up top, right?
Yep.
So they were.
And is there a second one? It looks like there's another line pointing to that metal strip on the bottom. We'll go back to that picture.
Back.
Yeah. Yep. It looks like there are 2. So it points to the one up top and then right below that shroud, which is kind of nice. I like that. It's like a built-in heat sink, which that's what mine has as well. And it's kind of nice to have that. Plus offers a little bit of protection.
Is that in between the, that's down right here, right? In between, right? Versus Prime.
Keep going down that metal strip on the bottom, like it looks like that right there. That it goes under there. So the M.2 is under there.
I gotcha.
And that metal strip is the heat sink, and it keeps it low profile enough, even if you had like a GPU in that second X16 slot for PCI, that it doesn't interfere.
Okay. Ryan says, sorry, on the phone. So slow to get the information.
Jeez, Ryan, you didn't know you were a guest tonight, dude? Like, you were supposed to be here. I don't know where you're at. We're relying on you.
he pinged me. He was like, he goes, I can't wait for hear you guys talk about this stuff. So super cool. Good little board. Go ahead.
Yeah, it looks like a great board. And, that Aurora sync, stuff like that. Like, I don't know if he's an RGB guy. It doesn't look like it based off the RAM he got doesn't have RGB, but I don't know I think you said he's using a case that he already has, right? And so we don't know if he's big into RGB, but having that sort of those headers on the board, right, come pretty standard nowadays. But for someone like me, your son seems like he's already had some gaming PCs. I was jumping a lot of years in between motherboards. Yeah. I mean, the two that I pulled out are still right behind me. Going from a 2012 board, a low-end 2012 board to now, I mean, just the stuff that's included on those boards is they make, first of all, the layouts a little bit better, convenience-wise. Like I said, RGB headers, dual fan headers, things that now people have, pump headers for people who have AIOs or water cooling is all sort of things that are great. And then did he mention what kind of cooler he's using?
No, not yet. And about the time we have the cooler show with Ryan, he should be back to talk about that. So I'll have to ask him when he gets in. We honestly haven't talked about the build. I haven't spent any time. You didn't ask me.
It's just showing up at your house like, hey, someone shipping me free computer parts.
No, I got a text from him, and he was like, hey, is it okay if I ship some computer parts to you? I'm like, yeah, of course it's okay. Like, why would I say no? I'm gonna use them for the show.
Yeah. Well, there's one last
didn't think of that
right away. Probably the most exciting piece of the build too.
Yeah. So let's talk about
nowadays. It's pretty much the heart of it. More important than the CPU sometimes.
It really is. What do you think the retail on this one? We should have done a game show style where we.
That one.
GeForce RTX 270.
2070 Super.
Sorry.
Yep. It's I think 480.
Okay.
I'm gonna go check. I could be low. I think that would be low if anything.
Yeah. So yeah, four ports in the back.
Which one is it?
8 gig of DDR6. Bunch of different ways to connect. DirectX 12. All the pretty much the standard stuff.
Well, it seems to be sold out everywhere.
Of all the things I really want to open and try is this one, because I want to run some.
Tests with it, especially probably for your crypto stuff.
I want to run some folding. Like I'm super jealous of John. Like John jumped in the folding group and then just smashed us all.
I know.
I think he's got a 2070.
So that's the turbo.
Yeah. Asus. I like that he went all Asus on this. I like Asus has been a brand I've liked to go with as well. I like their software.
Looks like I was a little high. It's 409, 470. Kind of depends where you get it. Looks like right around there. Because I remember looking through a lot of these when I was trying to set on my GPU, and I think that 27 Super is a awesome card, right? Because you jump up any higher, getting into the 2080s, which are going to add a lot to price, and probably a negligible amount of performance that you'll notice. Unless you're really geeking out over the numbers and you're really stressing that thing, I think that 2070 Super is probably perfect.
Joe says just let him know that he has a limited time for a burn-in test. So yeah, that's for sure. Andrew says nobody's folding records in danger from my machine. Yeah, Andrew threw some older hardware at it for sure. But I think we have a baseline. Yeah, we definitely have a baseline, Andrew, and that's okay. Thanks for trying. We appreciate that. Joe said, I had to put my folding on hold. It's just too hot here throughout the day. And I did too. I got my power bill and I was like, I better back this down a little bit.
That was me too.
Yeah.
I'm actually paused for a while. 2 reasons. 1, power bill. 2, it was like I couldn't utilize that card in Unraid it was having issues. It would work sometimes using it for Plex hardware transcoding and folding. It was giving me some weird stuff. So I paused the folding for now.
Yeah, no. Couple we just to update that, John, what we're talking about, he's at 72 million.
Jeez, he has just
Yeah,
kept cranking.
he just carried it. Mark at 43, Chris Kenny 26, you at 22. I'm not far behind you at 17. Bust out at 12, Tajoski there at 11. Then it makes its way down. So no shame in any of this. In fact, I think maybe on one of their blog posts they said that some of the data had helped some of the researchers and some of the work that they were doing. So, will it find the cure or the vaccine? I don't know, but I appreciate you guys jumping in. It was sure fun while we did it, and it was at a cool time of the year when running the heaters made kind of sense. And now I'm cooling the basement, so you're kind of like like, well, okay, maybe I should rethink this, especially since my power bill doubled. It's like,
one power gets more expensive in the summer.
It does
Rates are
for sure. Mike, anything else when you think of from a gaming build from what you built, like anything you saw there you wish you had done different, or anything you didn't see that you'd add to the list?
It really comes down to budget for the build, because I think the 1660 Super that I have is a great card if you're sticking to 1080p gaming. But at the same time, I'm like, if I was building that machine, I was going to go. The problem with how I build PCs, Jim, is I don't do it as smart as your son and just do it all at once. I'm like, I probably won't need that. No, I end up upgrading it later and later and later, and I keep just doing it one at a time. I should have probably gone with something like a 2070 Super. I think that would I'd see them benefit more. I don't have enough PC gaming friends that you can still do Xbox chat on a PC with an Xbox, but it's kind of a pain to do. So I've actually been, so I was playing Call of Duty on my PC while it's connected into voice chat through the Xbox app to my buddies, because they all play console. I have no PC gaming friends at all. And the benefit for me of a 1660 Super wasn't good enough for me to stick with the inconvenience of the chat. So I actually went back to my Xbox. So now I'm not even utilizing, for the most part, I jump on sometimes still on PC, but for the most part, I'm not even utilizing now my game PC, because it wasn't that big of a difference. It still looks a lot better, but the inconvenience was more for me. So no, I think he's really smart with where he went with that build. I still think AMD would have been something to consider. I don't know if maybe he's just a big Team Blue guy, or if maybe he hasn't, he's in the military. He's probably not having a lot of time to be, checking in and keeping up with all the, hey, what is price performance ratios and all the YouTube reviewers who are out there. But nothing knocking into. I think someone mentioned it earlier. I think they do still hold the king for FPS, right? So that chip is probably going to perform better. And probably that was probably what he was going for, is high FPS.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see. I made the mistake. I don't like my case, and I like the look of my case a lot. But for a basic build, it was totally fine. But when I upgraded my parts and when I added an AIO in, it is not a very convenient case to build in when you're doing something like an AIO with a rad up top or even in front. It's really hard to access, not great cable management in there. The pinch between the back panel, like there's not much clearance back there between the back of the motherboard tray and the back panel. So I'm actually really curious. Maybe we do an update a little bit, what case he chooses, his cooler. And I'm a big peripheral nerd. I love knowing what people are using for monitors, because especially to know what monitor he's pairing up with that 2070 Super, right? Because you can have an awesome GPU, but if you're still rocking a, even 120 hertz 1080p, you're not going to see any of the benefit of having that awesome graphics card, right? Like my monitor is very much matched up with I have a 1080p 144 hertz monitor for a 1660 Super, because that's about the max I'm going to get. 4K gaming wouldn't be that great on a 1660 Super, so they're kind of matched. So I'll be very curious to see what he pairs it up with.
We'll try and get him on when he's home. I don't know if he'd be home for a Thursday or if he'd even be interested. He's a pretty quiet kid, unlike his dad. So he is a man of few words. So we'll have to see. We ask him why. He's like, I don't know. I did. Like, those are some of the answers you can get out of him. What case do you have, Mike?
I went with the Fractal Design Focus G case.
Okay.
Again,
Fractal?
not
Fractal
fractal.
does it?
Yeah,
Okay.
not a bad case. It's just when you start to add in everything, the convenience sides, and you kind of get it for the price you paid. I think it's only a $55 case, which nowadays is on the low end of case prices. So you kind of get what you pay for, and I got what I paid for on the case.
Ron asks us he's going to go water cooled. I don't know. We have to ask him when he gets home. He's got some parts that he's bought in the past. He's going to reuse, and I think he's going to reuse his case. He bought a pretty expensive case the last time he did this. I think, if I can remember, it's really nice, and so I think he's just going to reuse his case, which gets me thinking, like, hey, what are you doing with those parts you're taking out? So I might have to.
Do a little deal with
they may get acquired as part of a tithe or something. Him staying home. So. Yeah, so we'll is he again, I don't know when he's coming home, but hopefully when he gets back, maybe we can get him on the show and get it talked about.
I have been super impressed with the Alpha Cool AIO cooler. That thing keeps my 3600 super cool, even under extreme. I did a Prime 95 test on it and really stressed that CPU out, and it only got up to 85 degrees. And usually you're starting to see those jump up 90s, and this thing had no trouble keeping it cool. And it's only I forget my millimeters when I'm talking fans. I don't talk about them of 260, I think 240 maybe, or 260 millimeters. It's got 2 fans instead of like a 3. So it's not even a huge rad, and it keeps that thing so cool.
Nice.
The look of it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's got 2 on this one. It's got the ability to add in something to the line. So most AIOs, the hose goes from the component attached to the chip up to the radiator, and they're just connected. This one actually has a place you can disconnect it and add something in line. So if you had a water block for your GPU or something like that, you could add it in. 240. Thank you, Ryan.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Super cool. All right, Mike, let's finish it out with maybe a little self-deprecating humor. Okay. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
So I've been offering to do more grilling during the day because I'm home, right? I mean, so it's like, hey, let's do pork butt, or let's do a whole chicken or whatever. We had Mark on a couple weeks ago and talked about this. So, and it's been really good. Like, I have just been crushing it on the smoking. So let's see, Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? What were we doing? Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. So Tuesday we decided I'd do a whole chicken. So I put the chicken in, I build a little drip pan out of tin foil so it's disposable. Then when I'm done, it cools down. You just fold it up and toss the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't do anything different. Put the chicken on, thawed it overnight, put the chicken on, set it at, 220 or whatever, and let it go. And so it started doing its thing, dry rubbed it. Got it all set, came out a couple times in the first couple hours. Oh, it was looking good, just brown and crisp. And so about noon, I kind of stopped checking it. I got kind of busy doing some things, and it was really kind of due to be done around 2. So like, that's not such a big deal. It was maybe at 140 at that point at noon, and it was going real slow, and slow was fine. I had all afternoon. We were going to put it in, actually, no, this wasn't Tuesday. It was Sunday. So Sarah was home. So we were going to put it in some white chicken chili. That was kind of the goal. So strip it out. And I wanted it really, really done. I was going to use Mark's trick to wrap it, tin foil, wrap it in, after it's done, wrap it so it cooks longer, put it in a cooler. So I come upstairs from doing something, and Sarah goes, "Hey, how's that chicken doing?" I was like, I think okay. So I pop out and I open up the grill, and here's what I see.
Oh, no.
These are not actual pictures. I just
Googled,
yeah,
it took me a second,
but it looked just like this. Okay, just so the one all the way up to the one over here,
yeah,
exactly like that, just burnt all the way around, and the drip pan just black, right? And I was like, what the hell? Like, so I looked over, I thought maybe the smoke tube had caught fire and had, just started flaming out of that thing. No, it didn't look like it. And then I started doing some forensics. So I took some pictures, and I didn't, but started doing some forensics. I'm pretty sure the drip pan, he either heated up because it was under heat, which I think is a mistake. I should have been doing this indirect from the other side, not the heat under the pan. I did that before. I didn't have any problem. Or an ember came out of the smoking tube and landed in the drippings and caught the drippings on fire. That's the only thing I can think. And the drippings just torched like they were because oh my god.
So you're talking about your drip tray though.
Yeah.
So you got your turkey or your chicken,
on the
you
top
got your
rack,
grates,
and then underneath it I put a drip pan that I make out of tinfoil.
So above those little metal tents that cover the got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like the drip tray underneath the grill.
No. It just sits on top of the main grill, and then I have a rack above that the chicken goes on, so it's separated. It can just drip right through there into the drip pan. Okay. The smoking tube and the drip pan are at the same level.
Okay.
So the only thing I can think of is that thing heated up to the point where it caught fire, which I can't imagine something. It caught fire. And the only thing I'm really sad about is I wasn't there to see it. Like, because it would have been spectacular. Like, I am sure for about 5 minutes.
Your neighbor was about to call the fire department.
I'm pretty sure there was smoke billowing out of my grill. Right? Just, it's good. I'm sure, though. I'm sure they're like, wow, that guy really knows how to smoke meat. Well, I didn't.
He's rolling smoke for sure.
Holy cow. All right. So first thing I did, turn the heat off, grab the thermometer, stick it in. It's like at 180, and you're like, all right, well,
time to call Pizza Hut.
No. So we pulled it in and I surgically started removing the skin, and the meat underneath it, while a little dry, was still okay. And so Sarah said she probably lost about 30% of the meat but
it had a great bark on it.
Crispy.
Yeah.
And
it's like KFC crispy chicken,
maybe better because KFC is really bad, but so I had been priding myself on how good my grilling had gotten, and then I just crushed it with a burnt, really burnt bird.
And that that's something that wasn't even your fault. All right. It's what makes me more mad is like I have the wrong temperature in my head of what something needs to be. And then all of a sudden I get to that temperature, like, sweet, this is gonna be great. I'm like, you idiot. It's not 203 for this. It's supposed to be 165. And I totally, those are things that I kick myself over. But okay, so question for you, because you do a lot of these long cooks with propane. No, that's not propane. That's
propane. No, it is propane.
It's propane. Okay. Yeah. How fast are you going through a propane tank?
Well, it's slow cooking. So it's those, I could probably get 3 of those really long cooks out of a propane tank, 3 or 4 probably out of it.
Okay. What about just on your regular grilling schedule?
Oh, every couple months. If I wasn't smoking, I probably get a couple months.
I think 4 or 5 months. We just got that new grill a few weeks ago, and I had to replace the propane tank yesterday. And I mean, although
how many times a week are you grilling?
4.
Well, that's a lot.
I mean, so that is a lot.
I may be 1 a week, to be honest. Okay. Yeah.
So maybe that was the difference.
I may be 1 a week on the weekends.
Pretty much every night.
Yeah. Yeah. That would make sense that you would go, and they're $20, Yeah,
it wasn't bad. And
where do you replace your tanks? Where do you go?
Right across the street at the gas station.
Oh, okay.
Hy-Vee gas.
How much are they?
21 bucks. Yeah. And I ended up grabbing a spare so that I can always, if I run out, I can just swap it.
Yeah. I have 3.
Do you really?
I do.
That's great.
Yeah, I have 3 just in case. So
but
it's good to have.
I just thought, 2 weeks, that was really fast for me, what I thought. But then I thought, what have we been cooking? We had a lot of steak, and I am cranking those all 3 burners to get that hot, right? I'm not turning it down at all. I mean, that thing's running at 500, 600 degrees to get those steaks nice and seared. So maybe that's right, I guess.
Yeah, in fact, I've been thinking about on my grill making a sear side and making a deflected side. So taking the deflectors out of the equation on one side of the grill, so I can crank that burner up and get just super, temperature of the sun hot if I want to sear, and then if I want to slow cook or a little bit more, diffused, then I could come back over to the more diffused side of the grill and do it that way. It also, I think on that chicken, I didn't need to be running both sides. I think the last time I did it, I just ran one side, and that was the opposite side of the bird in the drip pan.
Oh, maybe that's it. Because you wouldn't even have a flame underneath there.
Pretty sure that was it. So something happened to it. Pretty pretty hilarious to come out and just see crispy, burnt, like just destroyed. I was like, oh, can you use this? And Sarah's
Hannah
like,
kind of had one of those moments too. She was trying to cook, so she does salmon on the grill, and she is just knocked it out of the park. She knows perfectly when to put it on, temperature, everything. She tried cod, and her and I are both just we don't cook fish ever except for salmon. And she asked me, he's like, do you know how to cook this? I'm like, I have no idea. Good luck. And so she went out there and tried. Cod cooks way differently because it breaks, it sticks, it breaks apart like that. It's the consistency of that fish was just way different than salmon. Salmon goes on almost, it's like a steak, right? You just set it on, turn it over, doesn't stick. That cod, it cooks way. We have to Google it or something because that was not the same.
Salmon was really good. HelloFresh salmon, still really good. Sammy cooked it, and she cooked it till it just started kind of flaking off and pulled it. And man, so good.
That's awesome.
Again. Well, couple reminders before we go. One, don't forget about the all feedback show, June 18th. Send me your email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. Join the subscription email list, and I'll send you a reminder to send it in to me. Love to see you out there as well. Thanks to all our Patreon subscribers. Really appreciate that. Again, if you want to grab a coin, you just subscribe at the $5 level. I'll mail these to you. Got and I won't charge you any postage. And it's the post office's fault. They're the ones who charge you postage. So I get those mailed out for the two of you, and you know who you are. You subscribed during the pandemic, and I was like, hey, let's not do anything until this thing is over. I'm going to get those out to you here. I think this week I ordered some really cool teal, or is this green, whatever this green is, as close as I could get to the green, envelopes. So those are coming as well. So you'll see those in the mail. Join the Discord group, theaverageguy.tv/Discord. If you want to join us on Facebook, theaverageguy.tv/Facebook, although that group is all but dead at this point, but it's still out there. Don't forget the AverageGuy.tv platform, both web and media hosting, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. And so we appreciate Christian and his work at keeping the AverageGuy.tv up and running. If you want to do HelloFresh, this has actually been for us during these 12 weeks, or I think this was the end of week 10. HelloFresh has been a godsend to have some decent meals. And I'm cooking a lot of stuff at this point. It's been pretty great. Send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv, and I have a coupon code I can send to you. Basically get a free week if that's what you want to do. We're live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. I am taking a week off here coming up. I mentioned Dave McCabe is coming back to the program. If you're listening live, I saved these till the end because I know it's only our really dedicated live listeners. Next week, Chris Nessie is back. We missed him when we had Nathaniel and Brian on, so Nessie's back. I'll take the week after that off. So the week of June 4th is a big summit week for us here, and so I'll be taking that week off. The show 48, the week of the 11th, I don't have a guest yet. We're still working on that. The all feedback show is on the 18th. McCabe is back on the 25th. Ryan's coming in to talk water cooling on the 2nd of July. So we got some great shows lined up. We'd love to have you join us live. theaverageguy.tv.eventbrite.com, and you can always know what's going on. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, of theaverageguy.tv/live. Stay around for just a little bit of post show. With that, we'll say goodbye.